All right, so today we're going deep on Arya Stark.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she's one of those characters who really embodies like the brutal realities of Westeros.
Right. You think about how young she is when all this chaos starts.
It's insane. And we're going to trace how she walks that line between justice and revenge.
Definitely a lot to unpack there.
We've got excerpts from A Game of Thrones, A Storm of Swords, and of course, A Dance with Dragons.
Excellent choices. I think those really capture her evolution.
Definitely. So, starting with A Game of Thrones, we see Arya, she's this feisty girl.
Yeah, defying all expectations.
Totally. I mean,
Uh-huh.
she'd rather be sword fighting than like doing needlepoint with Sansa.
Classic Arya. That scene where she's practicing with Jon Snow in the courtyard.
Oh, yeah. She's such a tomboy. And then there's that whole thing about turning weaknesses into strengths, remember?
Right. Jon says something like, stick 'em with the pointy end.
Exactly. And it's funny because that advice, like, foreshadows our whole journey.
It really does. She takes what others see as a weakness, her wildness, and turns it into this incredible strength.
But then everything changes with the Red Wedding.
Such a brutal turning point.
It's not just political, it's deeply personal for her. Losing her family, her home, her innocence.
It's like her whole world shatters. And it's in A Storm of Swords that we see the aftermath.
Yeah, she's on the run, witnessing the horrors of war firsthand.
And that's when she starts that list.
So, yeah, all those names fuel her thirst for revenge, which, is understandable given what she's gone through.
It's a coping mechanism in a way to channel her grief and rage.
But it also raises questions, right? How does she reconcile that desire for revenge with any concept of justice?
Especially as she journeys with the Brotherhood without banners.
Right, they're like this band of outlaws, operating outside the law but fighting for the downtrodden.
Exactly. They blur the lines between right and wrong, which challenges her understanding of justice even further.
It's like she's constantly exposed to different perspectives on morality, right?
Totally. You've got Thoros of Myr with his flaming sword and Beric Dondarrion who can't seem to die.
Almost like they're testing her, pushing her to define what she believes in.
For sure. And then you have to talk about her relationship with Sandor Clegane.
Oh, the Hound. Talk about an unlikely partnership.
Seriously. He starts as her captor and then becomes this gruff protector. Such a fascinating dynamic.
He's got this cynical view of the world, which clashes with Arya's, evolving sense of right and wrong.
Definitely. But he also teaches her to fight.
Which is, both practical for survival and feeds into her desire for revenge.
It's like he's simultaneously enabling and challenging her darker impulses.
He's definitely a complex character, capable of brutality, but also moments of, tenderness, especially with Arya.
He does seem to have a soft spot for her, and he forces her to confront the reality of her list.
Makes her think about the real cost of vengeance. I wonder if he sees a bit of himself in her.
Maybe. Like he recognizes the path she's on and wants to steer her away from it.
Yeah, but by A Dance with Dragons, she's disillusioned. The list feels more like a burden.
And then she uses Valar Morghulis to get passage to Braavos.
Chills. Right.
All men must die. It's powerful.
Such a turning point, right? It's like she's breaking free from Westeros and the cycle of violence there.
Absolutely. Embracing a new identity, leaving behind the trauma.
And that decision leads her to Braavos and the next chapter of her story.
I wonder what she thinks she'll find there. A new start. A different kind of justice.
That's the question, isn't it?
We'll have to dive into that next time.
For sure. But for now, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll explore what awaits Arya in Braavos and what it all means for her journey.
Can't wait. Picking up where we left off, thinking about Arya's journey, it's
Yeah.
not just about the physical places she goes, right?
No, absolutely not. It's about what those experiences do to her.
Exactly. It's emotional. It's psychological.
And she's so young when it all starts. Like the Red Wedding.
It's just devastating, to lose your family like that.
Witnessing that level of violence, it's got to leave a mark.
Right. We see her grappling with so much grief, anger.
Fear.
Yeah, a profound sense of loss. And all of that, those emotions, they fuel her actions.
And ultimately, they lead her to Braavos. Yeah.
And this is key, she's not just a victim of circumstance,
No, I agree. She makes choices, even if they're tough ones, even if they lead her down some dark paths.
That's what I find so compelling about her character, that resilience.
Like she could have just, given up.
She could have, but she doesn't. She fights back, she adapts.
And she even seems to thrive, in a way.
Right, in the face of all that adversity. But that doesn't mean she's not affected by it all.
Oh, no, for sure. The trauma's there. And that list, that she keeps.
Ah, yes.
It's a constant reminder of what she's lost and the revenge she wants.
It's interesting, right? It's this driving force for her.
Like almost an obsession.
Yeah, but also a burden.
Do you think she really believes she'll find peace by crossing off those names?
That's a great question. I'm not sure she knows the answer herself.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more about the act itself, the sense of control it gives her.
In a world where she feels powerless.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, her experiences with the Brotherhood and the Hound, they complicate things even further.
They really do, yeah. Because they expose her to different ideas about, like, what justice even is.
They show her the gray areas.
Yeah.
You know, good and evil aren't always so clear-cut.
People do bad things, thinking they're doing good. It makes you think.
And she sees that firsthand. So she's forced to question her own beliefs.
Yeah.
You know, what does justice mean to her?
Is it revenge? Is it balance? Or is it something more?
Right, something that goes beyond violence, maybe.
See, that's the central struggle for her. And I think that's what makes her decision to go to Bravo so interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Because it suggests a shift.
A willingness to explore different possibilities.
Maybe even a rejection of that simple idea of revenge.
Yeah. Like maybe she's realizing that killing everyone on her list won't actually solve anything.
And Bravos, with its, mysterious, faceless men and their whole philosophy about death.
It seems like the perfect place for her to, I don't know, explore those questions.
It's a city of secrets, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Where identity is fluid and death is like an art form.
Kind of terrifying when you think about it.
Oh, definitely. But also alluring, especially for someone like Arya.
Someone who's looking for a radical change, a transformation.
But it's a risky move, right?
I mean, what will she have to give up to achieve that transformation?
Will she lose herself in the process?
Or will she find, a new kind of strength, a new sense of purpose?
We'll have to see. But I think it's important to remember that this journey, it's not just about Arya.
No, you're right. It's a reflection of the human condition, I think.
Exactly. We all experience loss. We all face darkness.
And the question is, how do we respond to it?
Do we choose vengeance? Do we choose a different path?
And for Arya, at this point, Bravos represents that different path.
A path that might lead her to some unexpected places.
And perhaps to a deeper understanding of herself.
That's what makes her story so compelling.
I completely agree.
So we left off with Arya sailing to Bravos.
Yeah, leaving everything behind.
Such a bold move, right?
Totally. I mean, she's basically starting over a whole new life.
And in a city that's shrouded in, mystery and secrets.
It's a big risk,
Oh, for sure.
But I think it also shows how desperate she is for change.
Definitely. She's been through so much.
And Bravos, it's like a blank slate for her, right?
A chance to redefine herself.
And she does that, in part, by joining the faceless men.
The assassins, right.
Yeah, the ones who can, like, change their faces and stuff.
It's a pretty intense choice.
It is, yeah. But I think it makes sense for her,
How so?
Well, she's always been fascinated by death, right?
True. She's seen it up close. Way too much for someone her age.
And maybe by, like, mastering it, by becoming death itself, she feels like she's taking back control.
Right, like she's not just a victim of fate anymore.
Oh.
But do you think she'll actually find what she's looking for with the faceless men?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Will they help her heal? Or will they just make her more, ruthless?
She's walking a dangerous line, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's always the risk that she'll get lost in the darkness.
And lose sight of who she really is,
I think that's a struggle for a lot of people, not just Arya. Finding that balance between, darkness and light.
Yeah, for sure. And her story, it really highlights those complexities.
The gray areas of morality.
The fact that there are no easy answers.
Which is something we all have to deal with in our own lives, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just that for Arya, the stakes are a bit higher.
Just a little bit.
But I think that's why we're so drawn to her story,
I agree.
Because it reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there's still hope for change, for growth.
Exactly. And that we all have the power to choose our path, even when it feels like the world is against us.
That's a powerful message for sure.
And it's one that resonates with me, and I'm sure with many others.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From Arya's early days in Winterfell to her transformation in Bravos.
Her journey is just so captivating.
And it leaves us with a lot to think about, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Like, what does justice really mean? What are the limits of revenge? And how do we find our own sense of purpose in a world that can be so chaotic?
Those are big questions.
They are, but I think Arya's story, it gives us a framework for exploring them.
It shows us that it's okay to question, to struggle, to make mistakes.
And that even in the face of darkness, we can find a way to, you know, find our own light.
Beautifully said. I think that's a great note to end on.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been great having you here.
It's been a pleasure.
And all our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of Westeros.